So, Conquest, New York, 1905. There's this old guy, right? Everyone calls him Uncle Bob. 81, lives alone in a log cabin he literally built himself. Never married, no kids, barely talks to anyone. But here's the thing. Everybody knows he's sitting on a pile of cash, like buried in jars, stuffed in walls, hidden in the rafters kind of cash. And one night in March, someone decides they waited long enough. They don't break in, he lets them in. And they leave with his mother's iron cash box and an axe they didn't bring with them. Yeah, we're doing this one. Okay, so picture this. Cayuga County, 1905. This is farm country. Everyone knows everyone. Robert Kidney, Uncle Bob, he's been here his whole life. His parents were pioneers. He was born on this land, built his own cabin, and never left. And somewhere along the way, probably after losing his savings in a couple bank failures, he just stops trusting banks completely, like entirely. Starts hiding his money everywhere. Neighbors borrow from him. He's basically the town's secret bank.
That's crazy because what it reminds me of is kind of giving Mr. Crab from SpongeBob where he puts all his money in his mattress and like hides everything.
Yeah.
So that's crazy, but everybody knows it. So that kind of, I think that in itself that makes it dangerous. Everybody knows you're the secret bank.
You're the secret bank. Yeah. Everyone knows it, which is kind of the problem, right? Because when you're 81 and alone and everyone knows you got cash buried in your walls, that's not a great combination. But here's what gets me about this case. It's not just that he was robbed. It's that he opened the door.
That's what I was thinking when, we were reading the original, because that has to mean that he knew them, right? Like if you're opening the doors for somebody,
Right. He had to. The bolt was on the inside, a heavy bolt. He moved it himself. So whoever showed up that night, he wasn't scared of them. Maybe he expected them. Maybe it was someone he lent money to before, someone who'd been in that cabin.
That's the creepiest part, is because, like, it wasn't a stranger in the dark. It was someone who called him Uncle Bob. And I'm not going to lie, I have like a love-hate relationship with his name. Robert Uncle Bob Kidney
it gives me so many emotions.
Throws me off at the end because that's not what I expect the last name to be. I don't know, like the vibe. It just doesn't fit.
It doesn't all go together.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So what are we drinking?
Well, today I have one of your whipped coffees. You got me. One of your what is it? I don't know. The whipped coffee with the cocoa touch. I don't know how you call it.
Yeah,
the name
you gotta have
it.
the oat milk, and that gives it the little cocoa dazzle.
Yeah, the cocoa dazzle. Yeah.
So since I made that for you, that is also what I'm having. It's like my new addiction. I drink this way too much. I probably should drink a lot more water.
Yeah. Coffee is kind of my water.
Yeah. So this case is buried under layers. Like this man had hiding spots inside hiding spots. Floorboards, wall plaster, barn rafters, buried jars. And the killer tore that place apart, but still left thousands behind.
So for me, that's kind of the confusing part, because it's either like they got what they wanted or they didn't like know the full map. And also I feel like you kind of have to know like what he got going on, that he doesn't know anybody. This couldn't be for somebody like an outside job. You had to have known, because if it's hidden everywhere in the floorboards, it sounds like that's going to take a while.
I mean, it just sounds like I don't know, like he just made everything too open for everyone. And that tells me they knew some stuff, but not everything, which narrows the field, It wasn't a random drifter. It was someone who'd been inside that cabin before, someone who knew about the cash box, maybe knew about a couple hiding spots, but didn't know the deep cuts. Okay, let's set the scene properly. Conquest, New York, tiny farm town in Cayuga County. The Kidney family were legit pioneers, like settled this land decades ago pioneers. Robert never married, never had kids. He just worked his land and kept to himself. But like I said, after a couple bank failures wiped people out, he went full hermit miser mode, stopped trusting anything institutional, became his own bank.
Where in him becoming like his own bank and like stop trusting the institutionalization of money or whatever, did it go to him lending money to people? Like now he's the banker.
Yeah. I don't know. Local farmers would borrow from him. He was basically operating this underground lender, which means people were in his cabin. They saw things. They probably noticed the
That is
iron
not
cash box.
safe. Not
It's
safe.
not safe. Maybe he caught glimpses of where stuff was hidden. And in a small town, word travels. Everyone knew Uncle Bob had money. The question was always, where?
Everybody should not know this 81-year-old man that lives out in this cabin that he built himself has all of this money hidden everywhere.
And you would think he wouldn't be that trusting.
Because he lives out in the cabin by
Right.
himself
And
that
he's
he built,
81.
and he's 81, and he never got married, and he never had any kids, and he kind of it's giving very hermit, very loner
Mm-hmm.
life. Like,
Like crotchety old
so how
man.
do you trust all of these people to lend them money if this is the life that you're living? It's very contradictory-ish.
Yeah, let's see what we find out. So who was this guy really? On paper, 81-year-old hermit, quiet, harmless, a bit eccentric, but underneath he was actually pretty savvy about his own vulnerability. That was a hard word to say. He knew people knew. That's why he spread his money around so many spots. That's why he bolted his door. He wasn't naive. He was cautious.
Okay, I can see the caution, but I mean, that only works if you never open the door, not if you're the community bank.
Exactly. And he did for someone on a Friday night in March, which means whatever relationship he had with this person, it overrode his survival instincts, at least for a moment.
So sad, so sad.
So, March 10th, 1905, Friday night, Uncle Bob's alone, doors bolted. He probably just was existing, reading, whittling, whatever old hermits do. There was a knock at the door. He gets up, moves that heavy bolt, lets them in.
Okay, and then what?
And then it's fast and brutal. They hit him with an axe, probably his own or one they grabbed, crushed his skull. He goes down face first, blood everywhere, and then they go to work.
That is so horrible and so cold, like
This
cold-blooded.
poor little
That's
81-year-old man.
yes, and then hitting somebody with the axe, unless you just like hit them with a super sharp point. But I mean, even still, it's kind of like a hit or miss. Either they're gonna die like on impact, or this is gonna be a horrible way for them to go out. This
Yeah,
is
it's
just
pretty savage.
yeah. The and then what? They just the ransacking of the place.
Yeah,
Cold.
yeah. The place is destroyed. Floorboards ripped up and plaster dug out from between the logs. Chest smashed. The mother's iron box gone. Simply money bags scattered around. But like we said, thousands still hidden, untouched.
That's what I'm saying. That's the crazy part. This had to have taken forever because you dug
They were
out
pulling this thing
behind
apart.
the logs, you smashed the chest, there was empty money bags scattered all over the place. So you got away. Well, it sounds like you got away with quite a bit, but like you didn't know where this everything was, like the nitty gritty stuff, like the real money. So were they looking for something in specific, or did they just get what they could get? Did they just get what they could get and then did they leave? So that's where I'm like,
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have time, or they got spooked, or this is my theory. They were someone who owed him money. They knew about the active cash box, who came to settle the debt by force. And once they had what they needed, they ran. They didn't know about the the deeper hoards, because they weren't that close.
okay, that theory makes sense. I like that theory.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I like that theory, but like,
It
I'm
kind of
seeing where you're
connects.
getting. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 days later, on Sunday, neighbor's kid, 14 years old, looks through the window and sees him. I don't know why somebody's looking through windows, but they look through the
It's a
window
kid.
and
It's
they
a
see
kid.
him
Yeah, that's
face they
horrible for the kid.
right.
Horrible.
They see him face down in blood, 2 days dead. No one had checked on him. No one had noticed. In this tight community where everyone supposedly knows everything, nobody noticed Uncle Bob was gone for 2 days.
That's heartbreaking. But I bet if somebody needed some money, they would have noticed. That is horrible.
Yeah, it
You
really
only
is.
notice him
When you need
when you need
something.
something. And that's so sad
Yeah.
because I'm sure what it sounds like was he was like a big staple or like part of the community. So
It seems
clearly
like he
some
had
kind
a
of
heart.
importance.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
even though
then for
he
him,
didn't trust the banks, he had it hard for his neighbors.
yeah, and to be just left dead for 2 days
I know.
before a little kid finds you. Oh,
That's,
my heart.
that's, and he was known by everyone, truly known by no one. And that loneliness is part of what made him such an easy target.
Yeah, I agree.
Sheriff Walker takes the case. They search everything, question neighbors, follow leads to Rochester, Syracuse, Binghamton. Nothing. Syracuse Post-Standard runs it front page. Hermit is slain for his gold. Big headline, lots of detail. Next day, no clue of the killer. They post a $250 reward, which I'm sure back then was big money, which was serious money back then, and nobody bites.
Just silence. And then to let you know, this, once again, this was during 1905. So all of the stuff that we could find really was just through the Syracuse Post. And I mean, they have the actual like headlines and stuff like that. But other than that, it really is not any more information. And it's crazy that for $250, still in this community where everybody's supposed to know everybody and we're all tight knit and nothing.
Complete silence, which tells you something too. Either the killer was that good or the community was that protective. Or, and this is dark, maybe more people knew than we're saying.
Okay, so I have like a tingly feeling about maybe it being like the community being protective is what I'm feeling, because maybe it was like a young person who did owe him money, and like he just happened to be one of those people everybody was like, yeah, we don't normally trust this guy, but the old man took a chance on him and then he did something. But it's like, oh, now he's like a young kid in our community and now we have to like guard him.
It could be.
Yeah,
It
maybe
could
that's
be.
kind of the vibe.
Also, maybe so many people owed Uncle Bob that it was advantageous that he not be there. I don't know. I was not there.
Advantageous
Oh, you like my big words?
vocabulary. Yeah. Ain't that what the young people do?
Thank you. Yeah, the young people. I don't know what you are. Okay, so 2 years pass. The case is basically frozen. And then in 1907, this guy, Eugene Curran, lives 3 miles from the cabin, gets typhoid. Oh, wait, hold on.
Try again, Mom. Not typhoid.
It's not typhoid. Yeah, I'm tired. He gets typhoid fever.
Typhoid fever.
It's very bad. He's delirious. And in his fever, he starts confessing. Tells everyone he killed Uncle Bob. Gives details. Sounds credible.
I mean, you got the details. He's telling everybody he's on his deathbed, which is when people tend to confess.
That's when they tend to tell us.
So, did they arrest him? I need to know.
No. Because
What?
when he recovers, he takes it all back.
Of course.
Says it was the fever, a discorded mind, hallucinations, and without a solid confession, they can't hold him. But here's the awful part. His wife hears all this, believes it, the stress, the horror of thinking her husband is a murderer. It breaks her. Her mind gives way, and 2 weeks later, she's dead.
That is just horrible. Now I got to die because you out here confessing.
Because you out here telling
because you got the typhoid fever.
Typhoid fever. That's what typhoid fever do to you.
Hallucinating, telling people you a murderer and shit, and now I'm dead just because I love you so much. 2 weeks, 14 days later,
She
boom.
dead.
Now look, there's 2 people you done killed. That's
Right.
horrible. and we don't know because I guess he's gonna take back that confession too, since he took back the first one.
Well, whether Kern actually did it or not, that confession killed her. And we still don't know if he was guilty or just sick and rambling. The case stays cold either way.
I mean, unless you're being interrogated like by the police or something,
Mm-hmm.
how often is it that people really commit to crimes that they didn't do? And that's a real question. Like, I don't know. So maybe if y'all know, like, write in and let me know. Because I feel like normally when people confess and it's a false confession, it's because they were under some kind of duress or something like that from the police.
Right.
Like during an interrogation or something, not just out here false confessioning.
Confession.
Yeah, well,
We
that's what.
just full of wrong words tonight.
That's what
We
I
have
got
all
for
of the
you.
wrong words.
And
You
we're
need
gonna
wrong words? Come to Coffee and Crime with Mom.
sticking beside them. Okay.
Well, I think that there have been instances of people just coming forward. Like even in the JonBenet Ramsey case, that guy just came forward and said that he had killed her or told somebody. It was something weird. So sometimes it's just something, it has to be a mental issue that they have outside of the being interrogated, the people who just come forward who just get to confessing and stuff.
But I mean, like the people who actually, like, let's say he really did not do it. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't do it, but he said he do it.
Mm-hmm.
How often do people just do that and it's not under some kind of like some kind of duress other than like interrogation? Is that a thing that happens?
Yeah,
Like
that's what I'm
people
saying.
get sick and they do that?
Where people come forward and they just start confessing to these crimes, and the police have to be trained and have to know how to tell if someone's, that's why you'll hear in certain cases that they keep back this piece of information. So if people just start confessing and they don't have that, then they know that they didn't actually do it, because people just want
Okay,
their
yeah.
15 minutes of fame, as sick as that is something that happens.
Got you.
So let's just run through this real quick. Pre 1905, Uncle Bob lives his whole life in that cabin. Bank failures turn him into a hoarder. He lends money to locals. Everyone knows he's loaded. March 10th, 1905, someone he knows knocks. He opens the door, an axe to the skull, and the place is ransacked, and the cash box is gone. March 12th, 1905, neighbor's kid finds him. He's been dead for 2 days. March 13th, 1905, Syracuse Post-Standard breaks it wide open. Spring 1905 leads to Rochester, Syracuse, Binghamton, all dead ends. $250 reward is put up, and there are no takers. April 28th, 1905, the DA says all evidence is circumstantial, and there's no arrest. 1907, Eugene Kern confesses during typhoid fever and recants after recovery, and his wife dies 2 weeks later from the shock. 1905 to now, still unsolved, still one of Cayuga County's coldest cases.
All right, before we move on, the part where it says all evidence is circumstantial. Circumstantial evidence is evidence. It's evidence. I'm sorry.
It is evidence.
I know otherwise.
If you get enough circumstantial evidence,
they wouldn't have named it. They wouldn't have said.
They wouldn't have put the evidence part in there.
The circumstantial. It's evidence.
That's
and
true.
Some circumstantial evidence. Oh, like good. I don't know. They got to figure out a way to work with the circumstantial evidence better, because some of it.
I think today we deal with it a little bit better. Sometimes
that's what I'm saying. It's hard because depending on the circumstance,
right? What circumstance we're in. The problem is we're dealing with humans, and so you never quite know. Okay, so let's talk about what this case actually says, because it's not just a robbery. It's about trust and isolation and how vulnerable that combination makes you.
And to think that he was isolated by choice, I mean, at least mostly.
Right. But isolation doesn't mean invisible. Everyone knew his business. They knew he had money. They knew he was alone. They knew he'd open the door for the right person. And someone used all of that against him.
And I feel like the killer had to be patient too. Like this
Mm-hmm.
wasn't impulsive. You kind of had to fill it out and like know the layout and his
Mm-hmm.
habits and who he would open the
And the
door
right
for and who
time to
he
go.
wouldn't. Right. And if he was alone, to know that he'd be there by himself that Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just a like coincidence
Right.
or
Like he
spur
took
of the
advantage
moment.
of a
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. This was planned, maybe not perfectly. They left a lot of money behind, but they knew enough to get inside, literally and figuratively. And that unbolted door is everything. It tells us Uncle Bob had relationships, even if they were thin. Someone was close enough to him to be let in, close enough to kill him.
And then just go home and live their lives. Like they didn't just come in and kill this poor 81-year-old man.
Yes, and live their life for 120 years now, probably. If they had kids, those kids are gone. If they told anyone, that person is gone. The secret died with them, most likely.
It's so heartbreaking for him. And then he was by himself, so I can't
Mm-hmm.
even say for like his family. That sucks to know that it is like people
And
and
that vulnerable.
situations like that where it is just like, okay, well, when I'm gone, that's it for my family
Mm-hmm.
and that's it for my story. Like, this is
Yeah,
just it.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I keep thinking about that kid, the 14-year-old who looked through the window, what he saw, what that did to him. And I think about how Uncle Bob was this fixture, this person who was just always there in the background, part of the landscape until he wasn't.
I know that's so sad. And why would he be at Uncle Bob's house? Like, why would the 14-year-old go to Uncle
Right.
Bob's house if he was only the person that, like, the banker? It didn't sound like he
Mm-hmm.
had, like, this deep rooted, like, connection with the
Relationship with these people,
community and
yeah.
all these people. So that, to me, I find odd. Why was he there? Why
And
was the
looking
little
through
boy
somebody's
there?
window.
Yeah. So did he go because somebody had mentioned it and kids hear
Maybe he
stuff
heard
and he
something.
peeped and he was just going to listen? Maybe the kid knew more than he ever
Yes.
said and he was just scared. What if that was like his people and he heard them saying, "Oh yeah, we just went like off to Uncle
And then
Bob."
he thought he was going to see a dead
And he
body. We've
thought,
seen all the movies about little boys and dead bodies they want to
and
see.
he went to go see the dead body
Yeah,
and found it. And then nobody checked on Uncle Bob for 2 days, which is once again
right.
heartbreaking.
2 days in a community where everyone knows everything. That loneliness is the real tragedy here. He built this fortune of hiding spots and bolted doors, but the thing that killed him was the one thing he couldn't fortify: the need to trust someone enough to open the door.
Do you think we'll ever know? Do you think they'll be able to, like, I don't know, maybe science or AI or something will be able to figure it out?
I don't like to say that there's no chance on cold cases because crazy stuff happens, but in this one, I don't really think so. The confession was unreliable, the evidence was circumstantial, the witnesses are all dead, the cabin is gone, whatever money was left has been found or rotted or both. This one stays in the cold case files forever. But the story matters because it shows how isolation, even chosen isolation, creates vulnerability, and how the people we trust or think we trust can be the most dangerous.
And that happens way more often than you would think.
Yeah.
And then I also wonder, once he did die, like once he was murdered, for the people who knew what was up,
Mm-hmm.
did they go and ransack his house afterwards?
Oh, you
Like,
know they
was it
did.
was it possible
Mm-hmm.
that during these 2 days where supposedly nobody went to go check on Uncle Bob,
Mm-hmm.
did somebody come and see that somebody had already ransacked
Right.
the house and he was
Maybe.
dead, and then they went through the house and
Mm-hmm.
ransacked the house and found more?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like the person had to have been there for a while, and if he was the local bank, then it is possible, and this probably could have happened more than once. Like, maybe somebody came the first day, saw it, instead of saying anything, took their chance on trying to find
Yeah.
it and something because it already looked bad, and then day
And
two
somebody who
somebody
didn't
came,
know about the extra money
right,
came and
knew
saw
where
that
it
the chest was
was
gone,
and was
but
like,
hey, I know where
"Ooh,
this
this my
other money is.
opportunity."
Mhm.
Yeah, I wonder if that. See,
It would be
it's too
interesting
many.
to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, yes, it
Yeah, I would
really
love to
would be.
know.
It really would be. I wish. I don't know what I wish, but I wish we could know.
I know. Well, guys, thanks for listening to Coffee and Crime with Mom.
We appreciate you guys spending your time with us. We really do.
More than you know. If you like this episode, follow us, leave a review, tell a friend, share us.
Yes, please. And make sure that you comment on any of our videos. We'll be putting posts out on all of our social medias. We do polls where you can vote for what's going next. And Mom,
Yes.
next week's episode. This one is a doozy.
Okay, tell us about it.
Okay, well, you send me so much stuff.
I know.
Frequently, because we are both really true crime fanatics. We have nothing else to do but go through
you have
true
plenty
crime
to do.
I know, I'm always busy. I'd be so stressed. Don't
Just throw
let
your
me play.
kids.
Yes, but you sent me one and I thought it was kind of interesting. So we're gonna do next week is the broomstick killer.
Ooh.
He was very interesting. In this case, or this particular person, I feel like it's a lot of like onion to it. It's very depthy.
Okay, I see you with your analogies over there. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good one.
Very demure.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. So until next time, you guys, stay caffeinated
and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye bye.